Hello everyone. So in this video I want to share with you something that's a continuation of what we started talking about last week, which is how can we actually um, make good friends with our body to stop cravings, to help dissolve the way that we do the impulses internally that lead us to want something, to crave something, to actually have things or do things that are not in our best interest, and we know it, but we still feel the compulsion to do it. So last week we were talking about triggering the feeling state of satisfaction and triggering it from the body outward. And in this video I want to share something specifically on the opposite scale, which is when we are already feeling the craving, when we're already in that state of wanting and that compulsive impulse, working with the embodiment of wanting to undo it, to reel it back and to get back to a state of calm, of presence, where we actually have our centeredness so we can make choices that are in our best interests. Before we actually head on to that, first introduction. So if it's the first time that we're meeting, hi there. My name is Isabel Martins. I'm with website healthandnaturallife.com, and I work with all things really energy consciousness related. Energy integration with people, and energy integration and interspecies empathic communication with animals. So my passion, my extreme curiosity that I love to explore is to learn, to experiment, to explore how we work at all levels of our being, so that we can then work with that understanding of our physical body, our emotional body, our mental body, our spiritual, energetic bodies, how we can work with all those levels of our being to fully embody who we came here to fully be who we came here to be, and fully experience what we came here to experience, to co-create, and to thoroughly enjoy. Basically being our full selves and as fulfilled in our truth as we came here to be. So this particular video and this series is leaning a lot towards embodiment, because that's something that I don't see as often in this type of energetic and consciousness sharings, but it is the most condensed part of our entire light body, of our entire energy system focused here on the planet. It's our physical body, and when we learn to work with our physical body, we have a powerful leverage for whatever it is that we want to create and for being who we came here to be. Ascension, and that's perhaps a buzzword, but I've been in the teachings of ascension for a very long time. And ascension, the way that I learned it, it's not getting out there, it's embodying more and more and more our broader levels of self. So working with our body, understanding our body is key. And in this particular video, what I want to share is how we can actually use the understanding of our body, how we work, how we create feeling states to unwind the ones that are not really useful for us. So in the topic that we have been in the last couple of videos, we're going to talk about cravings. So cravings have different underlying reasons for them, and that's not what we'll address here. We'll address when we are already in that feeling state of a craving, what can we do? So when we're already in that feeling state of a craving, my experience, it does not do me much good to actually know how to trigger the feeling state of satisfaction, because I'm already in that go get it mode. I'm already halfway to the destination, to the solution of whatever it is that the craving is asking for, and I don't even want to trigger the feeling of satisfaction. So in the last few days, really days, this is not new knowledge for me, but it never occurred to me to map the feeling state of wanting. But in the last few days, that light bulb went out. Now, let me map how I do wanting. And if this is new to you, our feeling states aren't just something that happens. Every feeling state, every emotion has a particular embodied map, so to speak, has a particular posture, has a particular way that we have our eyes focused or unfocused, a particular breath, a particular leaning, tilt. So postures and the ways that we hold our body, they are the embodiment of the emotions. And for example, if you're smiling, bring a big smile to your lips, a true smile. Let your eyes smile too. This is not how we do depression. This is not how we feel depression. But for example, if you are feeling depression or any other state, anger, and you start bringing this true smile to your lips, start bringing a true smile to your eyes, there is at first probably a light cognitive dissonance, but the body starts to win, starts to get a foothold, and the physiological cues of our face, of our breathing, of our posture, so it's not just a smile, it's an entire body map of how we do joyfulness or happiness or appreciation, that starts triggering a new cascade of hormones, of chemicals that wash through our bodies, and that we feel those chemicals as the emotions of happiness, of appreciation, of joy. So it works both ways. Our mind can trigger thoughts that create in us a certain feeling state that then reflects in our body physiology, in our postures, in our physiognomy. But the other route is also valid and very, very, very powerful. We can trigger those embodied cues in our body, and that will give, that physiology, that physiognomy will give the nervous system the indication to produce those chemicals that lead us to feel a certain way. So this is important. I will continue to repeat this because I'm seeing more and more the value of mapping how we do in our body, how we do the physiological cues of certain feeling states, so that we can either trigger them at will from the body up, which is usually, not always, but usually easier from the body up than from the mind down. And when we're feeling states that are not useful for us, we can start unwinding them. So the feeling state of wanting, for example, in terms of craving, can be one of those. And before I actually head on to undoing wanting, I will be sharing the cues, the embodiment, the physiology that came up for me. This, a lot of it might be something that resonates with you, but each of us will do these particular physiological cues and physiognomy cues in a slightly unique way. So see what resonates with you, see what else is different for you, and take note of that. And then you can use that map, written map. I have it written in my notebook, and I have it written in little notes that I keep nearby me. One note for satisfaction, one note for wanting. Because when we're already in the state of craving, of distress, because it is a state of distress, our cognitive functions narrow. And if we think that we'll remember what it is and what to do at those points, no, we don't have as much access to the same cognitive capacity that we have when we are relaxed. So having a written map of okay, look at this is how I do it, this is okay, let me start undoing those steps. Having a written map, extremely useful. And I also wanted to share that the map that I'll share, so we will be focusing on undoing it. But if there is something that you actually want to trigger a wanting for, so let's say that there's something that you know is good for you, or that you know you have to do. Cleaning, let's put it out there for me. Cleaning, I love decluttering. Cleaning, I have meanings associated with it that don't really make it something that I want to do, but let's bring that. Cleaning, I want to do it because I love to have a clean space, but there's a lot of resistance there as well. I can play with the embodiment cues of wanting and focus on those cues and on cleaning, holding both things in my conscious awareness at the same time, and it will start linking them. So I will start to feel that more, yeah, I want to clean, which is a fascinating way to play with our neurology and with our body. So with that said, let me say something else before. And I understand this is a long introduction, but this is important. And it's got to do with resisting cravings. So the way that we usually, or I'll speak for myself, the way that I usually went about it for me was that, okay, let's specifically talk about food. Finish my meal, feeling satisfied, maybe slightly full even, but still there's I want dessert, I want something sweet. It's been a conditioned habit for most of my life. So I want that, I want that. But if I am aware of my body, like I really don't, it will make me feel uncomfortable. It will start creating bloating. I really don't want to, but this is already in place, the let's go for it type of compulsion. So what do I do usually when I feel that? I use my willpower. No, I don't want to. I'm feeling full. I don't want to. Let's just, no, just stay. Let me distract myself with something else. On occasion that works. But if my mind goes, okay, I'll distract myself for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But after those 15 minutes, it's like the craving just hit a pause button. A lot of times, 15 minutes later, it's like, ta-da, here we are again in the kitchen because we're about to do the dishes and we are in the perfect environment for the craving to come up again. So that takes even more willpower to resist it. No, I'm not having it. No, I'm not doing it. I don't want to. What the hell is wrong with this? I don't want to. I don't start getting angry at myself, which, or at the process itself, doesn't really help, but starts building even more discomfort. Push against it, don't want to. Create more discomfort. Start building all of that until a lot of times I get to a point of screw it, let's just have a little bit of something, and that relief, that release of that enormous amount of tension, that is something that the nervous system pays attention to. Like, oh, I was feeling this discomfort, this tension, all of this, and all of a sudden, it released. Why? What happened? Oh, I had this, let's say, this bit of chocolate, or I had this little bit of cake. That created this feeling of release, of comfort, of relaxation. And that starts to reinforce the cycle of craving, because the nervous system puts that solution as a VIP solution strategy for when I'm feeling this level of discomfort. Let's go for that, because that's what's going to work in bringing us back into a state of harmony, of balance, of peacefulness, of relaxation. The more that, and it's unfortunate that it's that way, but it's true, the more that we use willpower to resist a certain urge, and then it builds the discomfort and we use more willpower, and it builds even more discomfort and we use even more willpower. And when we give in, if that's what happens, if we give in just a little bit and that discomfort discharges, it creates a really strong solution star right there for our nervous system. So our nervous system has a really clear imprint of, when I'm feeling this, let's grab that, because it will bring me back to a state of homeostasis or greater harmony. So it starts to create the craving, starts becoming even stronger, starts turning into addiction, and it just spirals out of there. So the solution, or it's not the solution, it's one powerful tool to help with the feelings in discharging them, diffusing them when that tension is already building up, instead of the distraction, which might also work. If it works for you, go for it. It doesn't work for me, at least not consistently. So instead of the distraction, instead of the trying to reach for something to substitute instead of the dessert in this particular example. What I've been finding that really works well is unwinding that discomfort. And unwinding could be breathing exercises, could be meditation, can be anything that works for you that allows you to release that internal tension. Practicing the feeling state of satisfaction can be one of those tools when it's done, at least in the beginning stages. When it's already out of hand, really in compulsion mode, which is what I'm more talking about here, when the craving is already in full swing, I'm already halfway towards it. What works best for me in my experience and at my present level of knowledge and testing and playing with this is to unwind the embodiment cues, so the physiology of wanting, because that reverts me back to that state of presence, of harmony, and then I can practice satisfaction and thoroughly enjoy the meal that I just had or the whatever activity I'm actually doing that created the discomfort. So embodiment cues for satisfaction was previous video, if you want to check that out. And by the way, I will suggest as well the video that I shared, the first one on all of this, the embodiment cues of appreciation, because that is a powerful soother for the nervous system as well. Not when you're already halfway into craving mode and grabbing for the thing, that's not the time for it, but afterwards to help soothe the nervous system even more, practicing the feeling state of satisfaction, practicing those feeling states of appreciation is just a beautiful balm and regenerative for the entire nervous system. So let's go for it. Wanting, I have my little cheat sheet here, so the map. This is the map of how I do wanting in terms of it already being that leaning towards a craving. So first thing, what I've noticed is that there's an image that pops in my mind. And this isn't necessarily the first thing, but an image of a sweet or image of some food item that I want to play. It might be something else for you, but that pops in my mind. That's not necessarily the first cue. It's the first thing that I pay attention to. Usually the first cue is some sort of discomfort in the body, or some cue from the outside, like Pavlov's dogs with bells. It might be a cue. For example, in my building, I have automated exhaust system that turns on and off at specific times, and these are meal times. When I hear the exhaust system kick in, it triggers the it's lunchtime, or it's dinner time. So that's an external cue, an example of an external cue that can also trigger our cravings or our habits regarding certain things, food for example. So wanting, first thing that usually I notice is that image that pops in my mind. That's already a warning. We're about to enter craving. Second thing that I wrote here is that my neck muscles tense all the way to the upper shoulder blade area. So there's a tension, throat tenses up to all of this area, all the way to the upper shoulder blades, just locks, gets into hunt mode. My eyes as well, they tense, and they either tense and narrow the focus on something like I'm hunting, or they tense and they glaze, like I'm hunting in my mind for what I want to have, I'm finding the strategy. So, but the eyes are tensing. So it can either be I'm focused on something externally, or I'm kind of glazed but focused on something internally. An image of chocolate, of cake, of dessert, of whatever it might be. Then I notice that my breath is incredibly shallow. It's just here in the upper parts of my chest, of the lungs. My entire diaphragm area also locks up, and it's not just in the front, it's all around this area. The entire rim of the diaphragm just tenses up, just locks. This might be a defense of the body, like, no, don't do that. but that entire area locks up, creates more discomfort, which I then want to soothe with the thing that I crave and that my nervous system associated with relief. So diaphragm locks. What else? Kidney area, so in the lower part of the rib cage in the back, also tenses up and contracts, which causes my low back area to contract as well, and the pelvis to tilt backwards. So the tailbone kind of tilts up and curves up. So there's a slight contraction in the lower back area as well. My arms also tense. This is a fight type of posture. And I have an overall kind of leaning forward. It's not necessarily an overt leaning forward, although if I'm ready to go, it is. But there's a light leaning forward from all the tension. So it's go for it. And I notice as well that it's a head first type of thing. So the neck and the head are slightly leaning forward, and then my entire body also goes like, get ready, go for it, grab it. So these are the cues that I've noticed are more systematic and more intense. There might be others, but what I've noticed is that of all of this, if I play with first bringing my shoulders down and my neck and head to a neutral position, or even slightly back, it's not a flopping type of position. I still have presence in my core, which I didn't have before because I was leaning, so I was away from my center, but bringing my shoulders down and my neck and head to a balanced posture above my shoulders above my pelvis. And even if I find it useful, my neck slightly up so that my head isn't tilting backwards, but it's slightly more to the back than it would be normally. And I soften my eyes. These tend to help the rest of the body soften and settle. It's almost like, stay, I'm good. So difference in this mode to shoulders down, and usually I don't even start with the shoulders, it's head. Since it's the head that goes first towards what I imagined in my third eye that I want to grab, head back, shoulders, neck as well to neutral posture, and then shoulders down, soften the eyes, and the breath naturally starts to release. Arms naturally relax as well. And this has been the most powerful unwinder of the compulsiveness, of the impulsiveness, of the go for it, of the wanting. And if I can stay in this state, honestly, this one for a minute, it is incredibly powerful in discharging the sense of discomfort. And what I have experienced as well is that when I do this, then there's something that comes up, an emotion, usually something like a fear that was causing the compulsiveness starts moving up and out. And I have cried, not cried as an overt crying, but tears have came up when this type of release happened, all from unwinding the posture, the embodiment of craving that was a mapped solution by my nervous system for the discomfort that I was feeling internally. That discomfort was triggered by something, and that's another video for us to talk about, because there's so much that can be happening there. So when we actually undo the false solution of reaching for something outside to soothe us, when we undo the wanting, the craving, and we get ourselves back to a state of greater balance and relaxation, whatever was causing that craving might find its way to the surface and integrate. So flow out, through, and become part of our available life force again. So be aware that that might happen nothing wrong, quite the opposite. It's your nervous system freeing up things from the past that are coming up to be integrated and to actually be part of your energy, of your life force again, instead of contracting and causing incoherence and tension in your body. So that's what I want to share. Hope this is useful. Again, if the embodiment cues of wanting that I shared with you, of craving, if they resonate with you, map them, write them down, keep them next to you, so that when you find yourself in that state, you can look and notice, okay, this, let me undo this one, this one, this one. So, for example, the neck and head tilting forward, let me undo that. Let me bring my head back, my neck back, my shoulders down, my eyes, instead of locking, relax them, soften my gaze, and see how many of those points in your map you have to undo and unwind and revert back to a neutral state before you can actually feel that sense of relief. Might be these ones that work for me, might be different ones, but play with it. Be the explorer, the discoverer, the scientist of your own nervous system, of your own body, of your own energy systems. Because when we do this, we are on an amazing path of self-mastery. And I don't mean this in terms of self-control. I mean this, although control has been a path for me my entire life, and I know that to a degree that has its benefits, but for a very large part of what I want for my life, it's not the path. So when I say self-mastery, I mean mastery in terms of understanding how we work from the body all the way outward, from the spiritual all the way inward, understanding how we work, playing with that, exploring different levels of our neurology, of our physical body, of our emotions, of our mind, to then be able to co-create and be who we feel inspired to be and what we feel inspired to co-create. That's self-mastery for me. It's self-knowledge, self-understanding, self-awareness, and working with that to live the life that we feel inspired to live. And embodiment, paying attention to our embodiment and working with our embodiments and feeling states is, at least for me in my life right now, a really big part of it. And I hope you see the value in it and start playing with it for yourself too. So let me know if you have any questions, comments, likes, whatever you feel inspired to do. Thank you for joining me in this video, and I'll see you in the next one.